That's James's meal. It's microgreens with pomegranate, romaine lettuce, some tomatoes from the Victory Garden, Mexican rice, and some shrimp. And James is having this with it, and so am I. We're going to talk about Tammy, emotional arithmetic, and the greatest. And honestly, I thought that all three of those were worth watching. So, it's sometimes the bottom of the stack might be the top of another stack or something like that. It just so happened we watched some good movies yesterday. So, I'm messy because I will be harvesting while James is talking to you and eating. I'm gonna have some of this and see how that goes. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you got the same as me. So
yeah.
Spinach, kale, apple. Let's see.
This is the flavor James chose today. So we got these for 87 cents each. So that's I love the Shoppers Drug Mart clearance.
Now it tastes medicinal.
Oh, it's not good, eh?
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be good nutrition.
Yes, there's 1 billion probiotic active cultures.
With kale and spinach in there, it could be a whole lot worse.
Okay.
It's not really bad. So it's not like your smoothies, but
okay.
I'm glad they're kind of cool. So.
All right. Well, I can't believe we hadn't watched this movie before, Tammy, because we were big fans of Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
But this was really funny. I should say that all three of these are feature Susan Sarandon, and this is a part of the Susan Sarandon marathon. This episode of Dinner and a Movie is a Susan Sarandon marathon episode.
Now, is it starting to feel like a marathon? Not quite. Eh?
I don't know. We've been doing this a long time, but
so it wouldn't be. It's not like if you were doing a Morgan Freeman marathon.
Well, she does a lot of these drama movies, and especially like political sort of drama movies. I'm not into that. So, as much as she's
not her,
she's a good actress.
It's a movie.
It's just that a lot of the time I'm just not into that.
I can recall you saying something like that yesterday, and I wanted you to refresh my memory. Yeah. That's what you're saying.
That's all. But I do acknowledge that she is a talented actress, all the same. So I'm doing a marathon, and for stuff because I really haven't seen a lot of it because it's not my cup of tea. But this one sure was.
Or a cup of kombucha.
Yes, but today not. This isn't kombucha. This is just
not
juice.
Quite. No.
We did buy kombucha on clearance too. So the years ago, I had a little what do you call them? Beer fridge or bar fridge or whatever, a little fridge that I used just for kombucha. And then I stopped making my own kombucha, and it became a fridge for whatever else.
For whatever, yeah. It's actually very handy.
Yeah, it's always handy having a second little fridge. And coolers, this time of year, it's very handy to have coolers. And I just keep pulling out the ice bottles, like I for hiking, I put water in bottles and put it in the freezer and then take it out and go hiking. And I've been taking those out and putting them in the cooler, and then put some produce in the cooler. But
how many coolers you got? 3? At least 2, right?
Yeah. Well, 3 and a little one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
So, because I find them very useful for this time
Lots
of year,
flexibility,
especially. Right. Other people, they use their coolers in the summer more, but the big ones, I find they're great for this time of year, especially.
I guess people use it for beer and stuff like that.
Well, they go camping with them, and they have a family.
Mainly
and stuff
beer.
Like that. But we mostly we rarely use the big coolers unless we're going on like a big hiking trip where we hit a whole bunch of different spots, and then we'll have the big cooler. But then usually we just have the little one with us on hiking trips.
Oh, it's very convenient.
Very nice. It's good for a picnic afterwards. Anyway, back to Tammy.
You build up a really healthy appetite.
Who would have thought that Melissa McCarthy and Susan Sarandon would be such a great comedy team? But they worked out.
You know, the funny thing is, I don't know who the
straight person
was.
I know, because in this one, the Susan Sarandon played the grandmother, who was an alcoholic.
She starts out looking like a straight person.
Exactly.
And then she starts sloshing the beer down.
Yeah.
And then Melissa McCarthy has to play the straight person too.
Yes, so it's more like at the beginning it seems like Melissa McCarthy is not the straight, like like the grandmother, Susan Sarandon, is the straight person, and then they kind of switch partially through, and it makes it really interesting.
You know, in some ways, that almost explains the change in their personalities, right? They both become more responsible, and it's like they're looking at how crazy the other person is, and they're almost seeing themselves in it or something like that, right?
Yeah, so this was awesome. I really enjoyed the comedy in this. It was great. And I'd noticed at the beginning when they were showing the credits or whatever, that Melissa McCarthy wrote this in part with somebody else. And the person that she co-wrote with, the person that she co-wrote with directed it. So, no, I'm trying to find that on the back. Ben Falcone. I don't know who he is.
Yeah, they probably pronounce it that way. It would be Falcone, probably.
Yeah, and Will Ferrell was one of the producers with Melissa McCarthy and somebody else. So I'm sure they made their money back off of this one, because this was a success, as far as I'm concerned. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah. So I don't really want to give anything away about it. If you're a fan of Melissa McCarthy's sort of humor, I can't see you not liking this. Emotional arithmetic. This
that's like an oxymoron, right? Contradiction in terms.
I thought it was going to be in French from when I first stuck it on. I was a little bit concerned, but no, it's in English. And there's a lot of good acting in here, but it's just, there's a lot of drama too. It's about survivors from the Holocaust, and I don't know. But it's important to talk about that sort of thing and all that. I mean, there's one point somebody said in this, maybe it isn't good to remember. Maybe it's good. Maybe the so-and-so just wants to forget or something like that. And it's like, I think you have to remember that. And I don't imagine anyone could forget that if they were a part of,
well,
what happened to them.
What's important is for the cultures that visited that on the Jews.
They have to remember, for sure.
And unfortunately, they've been forgetting. The French were the first. No, the Russians actually were. Of course, they weren't. They started visiting their own mini Holocaust on the Jews around the time they started turning towards the Palestinians and Muslims and Arabs. The French were the first. They turned in 1967, 23 years after their part in the Holocaust was over, and they started supporting Muslims because they were oil challenged. Very cynical. Charles de Gaulle, or Charles de Gaulle, as people mispronounce his name.
Yeah. Well, and they'll be, I guess, sand challenged from the sand wars. So, well, I mean, I guess there's been sand wars going on, and
Yeah.
the we were hearing recently from a documentary that the sand in Saudi Arabia, in the desert sand, is the wrong kind of sand for making concrete and such things, and for making new islands and stuff like that. Like there are some countries that are building up their land mass, extending it,
So they
which is
can claim
interesting.
water areas.
Yeah.
China, of course, is, as with so many things,
And,
the
it's
worst
funny because
offender.
I haven't. One thing that we haven't seen that I expect we will start seeing is people building islands in various places. People that, like countries that are landlocked, building islands elsewhere so that they can claim water space, right?
There's hope for Switzerland, yeah.
So who knows? But that hasn't happened yet, which is interesting. I don't know what got me on that. But
I don't know what's to stop them.
yeah. But then I guess since I started talking about it, I may as well keep talking. The one thing that I was mentioning to James, like in the same documentary about sand wars, they were talking about beach sand,
Yeah.
beach glass, and so you make glass, and then it breaks down and it breaks, and then it reverts to sand. It can be reverted to sand eventually, right? And it just for a while it looks like pretty little gems or whatever because it gets worn down by the ocean.
You want to wear your Crocs or flip-flops,
Yeah.
where there's a lot of it, though. Before it
But
gets worn down.
honestly, like, so I can't see why the Saudi Arabia and places like that, I can't see why they're importing sand, because they could make glass for making the solar panels, which they're going into in a big way, and then when the glass gets scratched up and can't be used as glass anymore, that can be reverted to, broken down and made into sand, right? So I don't really see why, like in the documentary they were saying, oh, well, the desert sand is the wrong kind of sand. Is it the wrong kind of sand for making glass? And then, become sand. It just, I didn't quite buy it, the explanation. Anyway.
The Saudis should be able to handle, even when they run out of oil, a lot of solar, because a lot of people might not realize this. Saudi Arabia has 1/4 of the land mass the United States does. Which, how huge?
Yeah. So, the greatest. This was interesting too. I don't know if I believe that anybody would stop their vehicle just in the middle of the road and so that they could start, but they're teenagers, so maybe so.
So they could start what?
Just have a discussion or whatever, start talking. They're really excited and they want to talk about something. Stop in the middle of the road. What a bad idea. So the story starts out, and they've done this, and within the first 5 minutes there's a sex scene and a death scene. So
I
lots
heard
of
the beginning
excitement.
of that, yeah.
And
There's a lot of hyperventilating.
yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of drama here and whatever, but it's if you're into that sort of thing, it's interesting enough. I'll leave James to talk about whatever he wants, and well, first I'm going to drink my beverage and then see just how bad it is, and then I'm going to go harvest tomatoes.
You'll find
So
it okay.
you can talk about whatever you want.
Well, I'm going to talk about how I'm enjoying this meal.
Oh, this is terrible.
It's not what you expect from your own smoothies. Yeah.
I can't see anybody buying this product.
Well, it's President's Choice brand. And you're saying
You want to drink it quickly.
I had the advantage of having food to kind of buffer it with. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the overall effect would be of just drinking it straight.
Wow, that was terrible. Yeah, I had a hard time finding the one thing that President's Choice might think about is putting the best before date up here, or maybe on the cap or something like that, where you can see it, how they have it written here. It took me forever to find it.
Yeah.
So that might
Maybe that's
make people not want to get it because they'll be thinking, oh, well, I don't know if it's already.
It wouldn't work with guys. Guys would just grab whatever.
Guys would never grab this product.
You're right about that.
This is not a product for men. So
They'll put hair on their chest, though.
Honestly, it does taste healthy. It tastes like there's a lot of spinach and kale juice in here.
Yeah. They don't understand. You can't have it, the sweet stuff, outnumbered.
Well, apple juice
2-1.
is the first ingredient. It's just you really can't taste the apple juice. You're hit with disgusting spinach, kale flavor. And there's not enough lemon, celery, and ginger juice in there. No. I mean, I still have the taste in my mouth. It's terrible. Okay, go ahead and enjoy talking about your books. You have 12 minutes. I'll be back in a while.
Actually, Pauline was mentioning that there is a person out there in internet land who was suggesting that maybe I come up with a list of must-read books. And I thought that was maybe a great idea, not just a good idea. So, I don't know who you are. I'm addressing the person out there making the request or suggestion. So I don't know what you're interested in, but I'm going to start a list. Eventually I'll write it all down, but informally. And what I started with overnight was looking at the great documents or books or whatever. And I'm talking not so much in terms of, literary value or ethical value, anything like that. I'm just talking about influence. So what I recommend is the Catholic Bible. Is that different from the Hebrew Scriptures combined with the Protestant New Testament? Darn tooty. There's what's called the Apocrypha, which is generally dated in between what Christians call the Old Testament and the New Testament. I'm not sure if it makes much difference in the overall views of Catholics vis-a-vis Protestants, or for that matter, Jews. Something to look at. So that's the Old and New Testament from the Christian point of view, and then the Apocrypha. Then I recommend what Protestants call the New Testament, or Christians call the New Testament. Now I'm giving all of this in translation. You can get the Catholic Bible in translation. Technically, the official version of it is a translation too into Latin. It's a translation of the original Greek, basically New Testament, in case of the Old Testament, I think the Apocrypha too. Not sure what the Apocrypha, maybe the Apocrypha, from the original Hebrew. So the New Testament was not written in Hebrew, the original. And the Latin translation, which of the Bible, as it's called, is not an original document. It maybe dates from 300 AD, 400 AD, somewhere around there. Maybe a little earlier than that. Not sure about the date. So then you're recommended to look at the Old Testament, and again in translation. I'll give you what I think are good enough translations. So you'll want to go with the official English translation of the Catholic Bible. I'll try to find what I figure is a reasonably good translation of the Christian New Testament. I do not recommend the King James Version for that or for the Old Testament. The guy who taught me Hebrew at the university, Ivy League trained, was at the University of Lethbridge, Ivy League trained, Harvard. When we were doing introductory Hebrew, having trouble with one word, these things happen. There are a lot of words to remember in Hebrew. And he just asked for someone's version, for English translation of the Bible. And a Mennonite woman was in the class, handed over to him. It turned out it was a King James Version. And all this guy said was, God, that's an awful translation. And he's a world-class expert on Semitic languages. Ammonite specifically, but probably pretty darn good at Aramaic, another Semitic language, and probably pretty darn good when it comes to Hebrew. Trained in these languages at Harvard. So I'll have to look and see what are considered good translations for the Old Testament. Might be the same version for both, might be different. In the so-called Judeo-Christian Muslim tradition, you are recommended to read an English translation of the Quran. I'll look up. I think the Penguin puts out a fairly good one, but there's one that the guy taught me Islam at the university I think it was very good. I think it has commentary and stuff like that. I'll look that one up. So, like I say, stay tuned for later additions to this list, and for more information about which translations to use, because surprise, surprise, almost all but one, I'd say, of these documents, great religious documents, are not in English. The translation, unless you're good at these source languages. So the Quran for Islam, and very short document, one of the, then there are more than one. one of the biographies of Muhammad, and also some people that are going to Gyro Park. Anyway, hadiths, collections of sayings. No, I'll try to run down a copy of a selection of hadith. So, not so much sayings, but some of them would be sayings of Muhammad, records of some of the things that he did, and the hadiths, they're purported to have something almost like a genealogy, where the tradition has been handed down from one hand, one mouth to another, and so forth. And I gather that they're considered, though not as, let's say, holy as Quran, still considered scripture. Collection of hadiths, and also the biographies, I guess. I've only run across one of Muhammad. So I was mentioning English original in, of course, the Mormon Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, as they prefer to call themselves. I would not recognize that the Book of Mormon was written originally in English, but yeah. Anyway, Book of Mormon, just for comparative purposes. I wouldn't include the Doctrine and Covenants and Pearl of Great Price. I don't know how sacred those are considered, but they were written by Joseph Smith, I guess. I don't know if those are supposed to have been translated from the so-called golden plates. But there we go. So, Book of Mormon, I think I've done the basic stuff in Judeo-Christian tradition, Muslim tradition. I really don't. I think it's a misnomer to call it a Judeo-Christian tradition. It's actually should be considered a Judeo-Muslim tradition. The Muslims are basically fundamentalists to, with some major big changes, but to the Hebrew tradition. Most Jews have moved very far away from the ethics to be found in the Old Testament, and that's pretty well all for the better. Unfortunately, the Muslims haven't. They went with Muhammad went with something that was last compiled about 1,000 years before, maybe a little bit more than that. And unfortunately, yeah,